الله أكبر الله أكبر.
So the Muslim community is a part of the New York City community. We are equally impacted by issues of housing, of economic injustice, of racial justice, of class inequity. And the issue is that oftentimes minoritized people, minoritized communities, because of political marginalization, aren't necessarily aware of how we can access our political rights, right? Aren't aware of our rights as tenants, aren't aware that we can actually mobilize to have influence on legislation, because we just don't have the education, we don't necessarily have the access. There's linguistic barriers, there are cultural barriers, there are economic barriers, right? And so our goal today is to really inspire folks, to have people walking away knowing that they can have an impact on their political system, they can have an impact on the way in which they're impacted by all these issues, and change the city to be a better place for them and for their families.
Our vision is to make sure that we could actually bring our community together so we could build political power and actually organize, because we believe that when we organize, we win.
We are having the first ever Muslim town hall led by the Muslim Organizing Collective that I'm a part of, along with great organizers and activists and colleagues in the space, trying to organize the Muslim community, trying to talk about the issues that matter to them the most, and try to find some tangible solutions and tangible next steps to empower our communities.
Who are the Muslims of New York City? So you probably wonder, if you didn't see such reports before, now it's time for you to recognize how big your community is.
New York's at a critical juncture right now. We're slowly crawling out of a pandemic, and we of course are very worried about our economic recovery. And as a community comprised mostly of people of color, whether you are Black, Latinx, Muslim, East Asian, South Asian, we want to make sure that as good Queens people, we're not leaving anyone behind.
Actually having diverse women, right, Latina women representation in such a powerful way. And for us, so much of this is about making sure that we also have our voices heard, right?
It's important to be here because at the heart of all of our solutions that we're working towards in government is community, right? And we need to be responsive to the intersection of all of our communities. And we have such a rich Muslim community here in District 22. And there's no better way than to make sure that we're coming together, that we're listening, and then can be responsive.
This is the first ever Muslim town hall, and it really gives an opportunity for the community to come together and really voice their experiences, their concerns, their struggles, and have the community listen.
One of the things that really pushed us all to organize and create that space with all these amazing people and bring everyone here together is that we recognize that there is a problem with representation, right? When we look at city government and we looked at the numbers, so like we have 9% of the population of New York City identify as Muslims, and we only have one council member in city government who happen to be Muslim. That means that it's 2% representation.
We don't have enough events for our community, representing the needs of our community. I think especially with youth in our community, the mental health needs of our youth are so unmet. We need community-oriented solutions that acknowledge the identities of Muslim youth. I think that's why it's so important to bring it into dialogue within spaces like this. One of the most heartbreaking statistics for me around the Muslim community specifically, Muslim youth are twice as likely to attempt suicide compared to other faith groups. And we're the highest in the States. And so, just having an honest conversation about what's happening. Once we create the space to actually have a conversation that's non-judgmental, that does not assume we know the root causes, then we can open an actual dialogue to explore the underlying causes.
So much of this is about making sure that folks recognize that we as Muslims, right, we have a historic legacy in New York City. We've been in New York City for a long time. We've had impact in New York for a long time. And for us to continue to recognize our political power and political voice, and also that we are able to have impact collectively.